right, week 17. Let's just for a second feel what that is. Week 17, the last lecture in this class. So the other day I was reflecting back on week 0 and thinking about how far we've come in this semester. And it's pretty amazing actually how many different things we've covered. So for a second, I want you to, because you should have your classwork doc open. So I want you to pause this video, right? And I want you to look through just from the beginning, right? So you're going to go from the bottom to the top, some of the topics that we've covered. And I think you'll be pretty amazed, I am, about how much different content we've been able to cover in the course of 17, what ends up to be 18 weeks. So, and I really appreciate the feedback that you all gave to me as I continue to make this class one that I hope is better and better each semester. And it really helps when students can give me that honest, how about this, how about that. I know many folks have had challenges with my IT lab, and I also know that many folks feel like they learned something from it. So I know there's two sides to that coin, and that's a little outside of my realm. I do help go through the product of selecting, or the process of selecting simulation, but once it's chosen, I don't have a choice about that. But kind of thinking just about, right, that course material. So what I want you to do first in your notes, right, I want you to just give me like a couple sentences reflection on some of the stuff that you've learned and what things may really, and it may be the more current things stand out, right, but just anything that you feel like you're going to really walk away having a much better understanding of is what I'd like to see. Okay, so anyway, stop, do that, write that, and then we'll continue on. So the other thing, this being week 17, and I've been talking about the end of the semester for some time now, so this is the last discussion about the end of the semester. So, right, everything for this class is really due December 12th, which is a Monday at midnight. Okay, so if you have late work you want me to grade, or you want to submit and ask me to grade, you got to do it by then. And the one thing I think I have not said to the online students that the students in class did come out is that on the quizzes, they're not discounted 25%, mostly because it's a pain in the, well, it's just a pain to do that in Canvas. So if you don't submit it, I put a 0. But if you submit it, if you just go in and take it, then your latest score will show up. Okay. So that's a kind of a nice way to increase your score, is just to go and make sure you take some of those quizzes, and it helps prepare you for the final that's coming at you if you haven't already attempted it, which several have, which is totally awesome. Okay. So the thing about this too is that if you have slacked for whatever reason, and I don't mean slack in a bad way, I just mean stuff happened in your life, right? It's not too late to attempt to pass this class. It's almost too late, but it's not too late yet. If you could focus, down, get stuff done, you might be amazed, right, how far you can come. Now, having said that, I'm about to turn to the screen and show you, for most of you, I think you know, but I just want to be clear, a way you can answer the question that sometimes I get, which is, what does it take to pass this class? Okay, so today, and I'm guessing again, many of you already know, but I'm going to be specific and show you what that's like. So I'll do that in a second. So, but my final kind of comment to you is really about, thank you, because really, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have this job. If it wasn't for students that want to further their academic career path, whatever it is, that you've chosen City College, you've chosen CIT classes, thank you very much. I very much appreciate your selection of our campus and our classes, and I appreciate the feedback. I've already said that, but I just appreciate the choices, and I've tried to honor the responsibility that I feel I have in taking care, or honoring that, right? Holding that important trust that's been given to us. So thank you for that. And if you ever just want to stop by, say hi, chat about stuff, please do. I have had a couple of students do that this semester, and it's really gratifying to actually have that. So thanks for that. And I'm in BE 113, Business Education 113, if you ever want to come by. All right, so I'll turn to the screen and we'll chat about a few things. So here's what I was talking about, where when you're in your grades, there is, and if you hover over scores, you can click to try a different score. So if you have some zeros, now this is just a student view, so of course your grades are going to be filled out here, not what you're going to see necessarily. But, and by the way, if you remember, right, attendance does not count in your final grade, which by the way, you can see. Oh, we'll go to the bottom and you'll see that. So what you can do here is you can answer the question, if I make up work, what does that do to my grade? What do I have to do on the final, right, to get the grade that I want? And by entering those grades, then you can scroll to the bottom, and here's the percentages I was looking for, that you can, that's funny. Anyway, you can see how it will affect, right, your bottom line score. Okay, or your total score. So remember, you need, and this, by the way, should go in your notes, you need a 70% to pass this class. So in this case, now again, this is not a good example because it's just a view I have into the grade book. But depending on your number, 69 is not passing. 70% is. Now, how could you get to 70? It wouldn't be that hard, right? You could do a quiz. You could make up some work. You could do well in the final, right? And the thing is, and again, and put this in your notes, you can use this what if scenario to answer the questions about the class grade and where you want to end up. But ultimately, as you can see here, December 12th at midnight, you have to have taken that final in my IT lab, and I've gone over that before, but just go into my IT lab, find exams, and you can take it, 150 questions. Remember, what you're posting here is a percentage, because that's really how we calculate it in here, so don't get thrown off by that. But that night is also the final night to ask me for late work to be graded, submit any late work to be graded, and apply any late points returned. Okay? All right, so hopefully that helps you out. But just to also be clear, because some of you still may be in the process of doing this late work returned, right? I've given examples of the sheet, but you have to set up the sheet itself. You have to do this. Place it in the shared with Rio, right? And the examples of the item that you used to get the late points back, the proof that you did those items, and then the item you submitted late. So you still have to do the work. But if you want the late points returned that you will get removed because you turned it in late, then you have to do this process. And then I will make comments, update Canvas, clarify, right? But coming back and thinking about like where this flows in the calendar, right? And this is a little bit of a repeat, but it's so important. Now I'm going to go to that calendar, right, for our class, is that you need to have done those discussions, those whatever it is you're going to do late, and ask me to grade it by here. So also just reviewing your grade, because imagine the fact of how often I grade, how much grading has to happen. Things can get missed, right? So make sure you've asked me about that, which really leads to December 13th, which is really the review day. So in your notes, no work can be done on December 13th. It's just a review day. And the reason I do this is often towards this in finals week, students start asking me, what about this and that? And if you're asking me that after the due dates of the required materials, there's not anything I can do. So it's really upon you to review your grade on this day. You'll have 24 hours. And then the next morning I will post grades into Canvas. Okay? Okay, hopefully you got that. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to leave the student view for a minute. So this is week 17, and in week 17 there is something that I think we need to at least talk a little more about that I feel needs a little more time. And it's really about privacy and security. So you have a couple of videos you have to watch for week 17 in addition to this one, which won't be much longer. Okay? One, and I don't know if you've seen any of the reports about fake news. There has been some analysis, and there will continue to be analysis of the presidential election and the impact of fake news. There's been articles where they've actually tested, in this case, I'm not sure why, but specifically students to see if they could tell the difference between fake news and real news. And sometimes people, because they're getting their news from something like a Facebook, right? They assume if somebody's posting it, it's true, which is not true. You have to really look at the source. So I think this is good for all of us to know and start being aware of fake news. Okay, so that's the first one. So when you do your notes on this, just put fake news. It's not a really long video, and it's really about the study that BuzzFeed did, which many of you know who BuzzFeed is, right? And it's out of CBS This Morning, one of my favorite shows. Okay, so the other thing I need to show you, let me go back here, is the idea of I also want you to watch, and this is not as timely as the fake news, but it's about really about this guy, Glenn Greenwald, and he was the guy who dealt with Edward Snowden when Edward Snowden blew the whistle on the NSA spying of the citizens in the US. So it's really his discussion about why privacy matters. It's really, really important. This is Glenn Greenwald, and really just this topic of understanding why privacy is important is important. Okay, so in that thing, I'd want a heading, right? Why privacy matters, and then another relatively short one about free stuff on the internet, right? Facebook is free. You don't even though there's been this ongoing thing that I see, Facebook is going to start charging. Heck no, they're not going to charge. The way they make money is by you. And I think this little short video really, if you don't already understand, brings to light the idea of when something is free, what is it that you're paying for? I love my Google Gmail. I love all the stuff that I get, but I also understand the way that I pay for that is by targeted advertisements to me, right? And losing some of my privacy though through the process of having those services. Now, I'm okay with that to a certain level, and I pick and choose when I allow that to happen. So just be aware. So this is another one. This one is then, right, why I care about internet privacy. And then I got to change this content. So the last one is just really short, but your phone is really like a tattletale, right? Actually, that's the same one. I got to fix that. Oh no, these are two short ones. No, two really short ones, okay? But it talks about encryption and keys, something we haven't really talked about too much, but the importance of encryption, how it works. Should all locks have keys? And then really about the iPhone and about the way, you're being watched. When you have a cell phone, it is well, I like to tease it, it's a tattletale, right? So that's what you have for 17, right? So week 17, your last one. So in addition to the notes you have for me, these videos are not that long. Glenn Greenwald's probably the longest. I think it's 18 minutes, but some of these are just relatively short. Good targeted videos about information that's important for you to understand. And that's it. That's it, my friends. That is all we have, right? So remember that on after December 12th, I'll be removing the ability to do work, but you can still review your grade and look at things. But anything submitted after that night will not be considered part of the grade. So make sure you keep that in mind. Okay, so the final here, this is the last classwork, so really it's the end, right? So that's it. Enjoy your winter break. Do yourself a favor, look at your schedule for next semester, contact your instructors, find out what books they're needed. I already have a couple students doing that for my classes next semester, and the reason that's good is it gives you time to source those books from alternative sources and hopefully save yourself some money, right? So be a smart consumer, do that. And then always, and I will end with this, rate my professor. I always appreciate when students leave comments on there. I don't require it. I don't, I guess by saying it, I am somewhat advocating it, but it is good to check that, and not as the ultimate way you pick a professor, okay? But just to know that is a way we crowdsource feedback for courses, and just Google it, right? Rate your professor, and check it out when you're looking for classes in the future. And if you feel so compelled to leave a review for me, that'd be awesome as well. So have a great winter break, a great rest of your educational career. If I get to meet you face to face, which many in the online and the face to face class I have, but if you're online and we happen to be crossing necks and I don't recognize you and you recognize me, say hi because I totally enjoy that. Anyway, peace out.